So it might be game over for a lot of you watching, and this has to do with the passport that you hold, right? A lot of people, they hold crypto, they think their assets are private and no one else, no entity, no company, no person, or no government for that matter should have visibility into their private assets, and they have their holdings across different exchanges. Some report and some don't, but a lot of that is going to end starting very soon. It has already ended in a lot of countries, but the objective of this video is to understand what passport you hold and how that affects, and what is a plan C passports. When you have a portfolio, you come from some country, that's your home country passport, you must have exposed that, you must be exposing a second passport. Maybe you thought you want to get a good passport and you're using one or two, and this is where a lot of the stuff is going to uncover your private holdings, right? And before I get deep dive, I'm going to discuss an option, some plan C passports which don't even know what crypto is. They don't have any framework, they don't have any regulation. But before I deep dive in this discussion, a big disclaimer, right? Never use Plan C for bad purposes. Always use Plan C passports responsibly. All right, let's just deep dive. And I'm particularly talking about the CARF. It's like CRS. Now, what is CRS? Now, a lot of you might be aware, but for those who don't know what CRS is, when you go to a bank, when you present your passport, when you open up an account, the bank tries to detect who you are, and that's KYC. They're going to ask you questions, they're going to understand where you come from, what you're up to, and stuff like that. So the first point of contact is the passport. They're going to check it, they're going to see where you're born. If you are born in the US, a completely different path altogether. But let's say you're not born in the US, you're born in a foreign country. They're going to detect all of that, they're going to understand where you're coming from, right? So passport plays a big role. The place of birth plays a secondary role, except unless, of course, you come from the US. When the bank realizes your profile, they're going to start reporting your account balances to your home country. And when I say home country, it's where the bank feels or detects where you actually come from. It's where you're living, unless, of course, you come from that one country. Then it does not matter, it automatically goes, unless of course there's some exceptions where you have renounced and you have presented proof and all of that. I'm not going to get into that topic too much, right? That's a topic for a separate time. And this process at the bank where it's going to start reporting you to a certain country is through a mechanism, or is through a framework, and that is called the CRS, Common Reporting Standard, where when someone comes to a bank, if it is a foreigner, they try to find out who you are, where you're from, and then they're going to start reporting that bank account, your details, your funds, to your home country government. Okay, that is CRS. Now the same thing is proposed and being implemented, and a lot of countries have already signed up, and very soon, by this year, and a lot of countries are going to sign up on CARF. So all those exchanges are going to figure out what passport you have, where you come from, and they're going to do exactly what CRS did. So that is what CARF is. It's Crypto Asset Reporting Framework. It's just like CRS. Now, interestingly, the US does not implement CRS. It has its own thing. There's FATCA and FBAR, and it follows its own track. However, here, surprisingly and interestingly, they've quickly signed up for the CARF. I'm going to discuss some passports, right, that need to be discussed, right? If you have one of these passports, the big question is, do you have a plan C? And if you don't, then that's the time you look at some options. And when you're looking at options, when you're making any changes, always consult a tax professional, always keep things legal, use plan Cs legally and responsibly. Now let's look at some passports. I'm going to skip the US. That's a completely different beast altogether, and everyone knows about it. We can discuss that some other time. The scope of this discussion is that's understood. Let's look at the other countries here, right? So United Kingdom, of course, it's a very heavy duty passport, high scrutiny and proposed penalties for non-compliance under CARF alongside domestic reporting proposals. The second on the list is Germany, followed by France, Japan, South Korea, Singapore, Italy, Canada, and Netherlands. These are the top 10 that I picked up that are heavy on the CARF, but these are not just the only countries. Most, if not all, Plan A countries, if you hold any of those passports, and if those passports have exposed, then of course you got to understand the ramifications. You got to be prepped for that. A lot of countries are making significant requirements. Those countries are going to expect their citizen data from all those exchanges, right? So a lot of people who are not in compliance are going to get busted. It's going to be game over. Again, based on the severity, there could be criminal charges and a lot of stuff, right? So all that can happen. Now in the second half, let's discuss the least compliant countries, right? Countries that haven't signed up or very least likely to implement this full-blown solution for CARF. And on the list is a notable example, China, of course. I'm going to skip a few countries: Russia, Algeria, Bolivia, Nepal, Egypt, Morocco, Tunisia, and many African nations, especially West African nations. There are ECOWAS nations, and some of those absolutely have no clue of what crypto is. A notable example on this list is Egypt. Now, this is a Plan C passport. How do you get an Egyptian passport? Well, you purchase a real estate worth 300K. They give you the passport. I think one of the big notable things that I picked up from their program is that it's a top level secret. They don't share your citizenship information with whichever country you've come from. Only Egypt knows that you have the Egyptian passport. Is it a good passport? Nope. In my opinion, this is one of the worst passports from a mobility perspective. But this is not really for mobility. People will purchase this passport not for visa-free access. People will purchase this passport for Plan C advantages. Now, what are Plan C advantages? Go check out the last 12 or so videos on my channel. I've discussed a lot of these advantages in my previous videos. And when you're using a Plan C passport, you got to use that responsibly, because they're not going to report anything. So you got to make sure you're following the law, you're doing the compliance, you're going to go and report like a good boy, like a good person. So that is your responsibility when you have a Plan C passport. Now, if Egypt is not that good, what is? Well, there is ECOWAS, there's a CPLP country. There are a couple of African countries where there is a concept of citizenship by exception. There's also citizenship by exception in Argentina, in Mexico, in Serbia, and those are more like Plan B citizenships, because you're looking at shelling out upwards of 200K, let's say 250, 300, 500K for Plan B passports. But if you're looking for something totally cheap, something truly inexpensive, which is a classic Plan C, which does not have a strong passport necessarily, but it does have mobility across different regions, and it has some treaty advantages where you could naturalize faster and potentially naturalize faster in foreign countries. You could also waive language requirements in certain countries. So that's where Plan B gives you some miscellaneous benefits. And then again, this is a private citizenship with least amount of information that they would want from you. Small amount of donation or investment goes a long way in benefiting the country, and that's where this becomes exceptional. The big difference between, let's say, a program like the African program that I keep talking about and a CBI, anyone can approach and get it. An exceptional program is obviously exceptional. It's not open for general public. There are few providers that have the ability to recommend or propose or forward you, and we directly liaison with the government officials. If at any point in time you are interested in striking a Plan C, of course a Plan B, we specialize in Plan B residencies and citizenships, but if you're particularly interested in Plan C, because as the world is progressing, those Plan Bs are going to act like Plan As, and that's where the true Plan B is a Plan C these days. So if you are interested in getting or striking a Plan C or a couple of Plan Cs, then always click the link, book a call. We can discuss which Plan C makes sense, because sometimes you don't want to shell out all your money. You already have a good decent portfolio. Maybe you have a couple of decent passports, and all that you want is a private citizenship or Plan C citizenship, and we can assist and help you end to end. And some of these exceptional citizenships happen real fast, 15 days to 30 days, and you could be a citizen. And the package comes with a lot of stuff that you would need, right, to prove your citizenship legitimately and legally. Now, if you aren't yet subscribed to this channel, make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss out on all the important details that I'll be updating you with times to come. It also helps this channel grow. And if you like this video, give me a thumbs up and catch you in the next one.